Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome back to another episode of Masterpiece in Progress. My name is Kathy Amery, and I'm going to be your artist instructor today. I'm really excited that we're going to be painting this rose. Um, I was inspired by a cross stitch pattern that I saw, so that's how we got this. This is on an 8 by 10 canvas. So the pattern in your supply package is for 8 by 10. Let's see, what about this? All right, so when I originally painted this, I just grabbed a 8 by 10 canvas that was already painted, put my rose on, and then I painted it. Toned it a little bit differently here because I think it might be a little bit easier. So what I did is I took the pattern, put the rose on, and then painted my background. And it's okay to go, get a little chocolate in your peanut butter here because we're going to paint over that. This is all going to be darker, so I'm okay with this. And that's really not going to show there either. So what do we need? I'm going to be using two paintbrushes primarily today, probably a 6 and a number 10 Royal Gold. I get these from Brush Guys. There is a link down below for that. Also on the supply list. Paints that we're going to be using today are, of course, Deco Arts. We're going to start with our leaves down here. I am using, for the base, the Hauser Gold, or Hauser Medium Green. We do some highlighting with our sour apple. Love sour apple. And then the veins are going to be put in with the darker green. So those are our leaves. Again, background can be any color that you want. I happen to use really two colors, probably heavier on the bluegrass green, little desert turquoise, and white, and kind of mix those together to get my background. But in this one, I have no idea what I used because I just grabbed a canvas that was already pre-painted. It was just probably some type of blue. The flower itself, so the dark spaces underneath here, we're going to start by underpainting these with the Payne's Gray. Okay. And then we have the rest of our Deco Art. These are the two colors I'm primarily using. Country Red is going to be our darker color, Tuscan Red. There may be one more red in here, but I didn't jot it down. So I may add a different color red in here. Not sure yet. Sometimes when I create, I've got multiple paintings that I'm doing. So I did this one, and then I did another one right away, and then kind of sort out what colors I used. So, are you guys ready to get started? Grab your favorite drink. Mine happens to be coffee right now, and I know it's the afternoon. But that's what we're going to do. Let me just talk real briefly about the pattern and when you put it on. Now, you'll just download it, print it out, don't scale it or anything. So what I did in here, these little X's are going to be the darks. So I tried to kind of help you out where I'm thinking those darks are all going to go. So those are X's. And then these little scribbles here, these are going to be some of these little highlights in here. Hope that helps. Remember, when you put your pattern on, you're going to tape it and then slide your graphic sheets right underneath and trace it on. Okay, what else you're going to need? Oh, you're going to need a paper plate. I already got my Payne's Gray on there. And you're going to need a cup of water. This is a blue Solo cup, not a red one. And we are going to start, I'm going to start with the number 6. We're going to wet that. Anytime you go and wet a brush, you dab that on your napkin. We're going to go in and load up the brush with just a little bit of Payne's Gray. Don't need a lot, but noticing how I'm stroking the brush here. Oh, and one more thing, please subscribe to our channel. We're new on YouTube, but once we hit 100, we are going to do a drawing. So anybody that's subscribed will be in that drawing. All right, so what we're going to do I'm wiping this off just a little bit because you can always add more, but we're just going to go right along here and we're going to just scrub this in. Doesn't have to be perfectly right on those. I will go back and get a little bit more, just kind of wipe some of that off. You really don't want a lot. And if I feel like I need more, I can always come back and add more. I just get some of this underpainting done. And we may do a little bit more of that underpainting once we get our box on. Okay. All right, while that's drying, we're going to switch down to and start with our base color for our leaves. And that's going to be the Hauser medium green. And we're going to go ahead. This here is going to be Hauser dark. So we're going to go ahead and put all three of our colors on here. Hauser medium green. Sour apple, which is going to be our light colors here and there. And we're going to do our Hauser dark. So you can see dark, medium, and then our lighter color. So I'm going to start, again, picking up, I'm sticking with my number 6. And, whoops, almost went to that painting. And actually, I think what I'm going to do, I will switch these a little bit. Bring this one a little bit closer to me. And you can still have that one. Okay, so we're just going to start here. We're going to paint that stem with just a light coat. We can always go over this again. Now I do want to get right on those lines. Back into that green, pick it up some more. We're coming down here for this stem. Sometimes when you're creating, I have to tell you, I did that rose. It took me more than one try. Did it, didn't quite like it, so then I had to go back and didn't really white it out, but I went back to the base coat and started again. This comes all the way down here. Now, if you want, you don't have to. I know everybody likes to paint underneath here, and then I'm just going to take this right down there and extend that just a little bit. Oh, did you even see what I did? Totally took it out of camera, didn't I? I sometimes when I'm painting these things, I like to pick them up and then I forget. You can't see what I'm doing. I need a little bit more paint though. Just going to come right here. Hopefully you can see that. Okay, Kathy, put it down. I just rinse. I go in and I just kind of swish my brush into water and then I wipe it off on the napkin. Doesn't have to be too clean here. Going into our medium green, and we're going to come right along here and just start laying down our color. I could actually switch to a little bigger brush so we're not here all day. This is the 10. If you mention if you go out to the brush guys and you use the code BAE, I think it's BAEAZ, you'll get a discount, a 5% discount, and then we'll also get 5% of your purchases. That helps us because we are a nonprofit. What's that mean is that we do accept donations. You can write those off on your taxes. I switch to my other brush, you can see, and then I'm going to do this stem right here. Very lightly. This right here, we're going to come back and hit it with same dirty brush. We're going to hit this with the sour apple. And I'm just going to go, I'm just going to pick up a little bit of a darker color, and I'm just going to come right under here, wipe my brush off to get some of the excess paint off, and then just work with the paint that's on there. Just kind of blend that in there. Now, again, picking up some more here. I'm going to make this vein right in here. And then we can come along here very lightly. And you could actually even use a smaller. I have a number 2 here. You can use 2 or 0 if you want. If the bigger brushes are too much for you. Spread to you, the only time my hand shakes is when I'm painting on video. All right. Now, what I will do is I will go back and pop and add some more in there a little bit later. Going back to underpainting. I wanted you to see I completed one there. And it doesn't take a lot of paint. You can always go back and add a second coat. And notice how I'm always kind of going toward that end here. All right, so not going toward that end now. Now I'm coming this way. Notice how I will turn my brush to kind of get a nice little point there. going to extend past my little tracing line there a little bit. All right. Got another one here. I'm going to do a little brush there. There's a bigger, knock out some of these big ones. Then we'll go to our little bulbs with a smaller brush. Now this, I'm only going to do, I'm going to use a smaller one on that. Because one side is going to be the regular and the other side is going to be the darker color. Now sometimes we try to get really kind of close. This is why I don't like doing my background after, but for whatever reason, I just kind of felt that'd be easier today. It's because then we have these little white spaces that I have to go back and fix. But not a big deal. We can do that. All right, I'm going to switch to this smaller brush here. And I'm going to, this right here is the medium green. Here. If ever you guys say, hey, Kath, I'd like to paint something or learn to paint something, just let me know. You can always, that's how I come up with some paintings sometimes, because people say, hey, I'd like to do this. And I have a Quirky Cats video that I would have never painted, but I had a request for some cats. So we just made them quirky. So all I'm doing is going around the outsides of those. Don't want to forget this guy up here. This is a leaf. I know you guys probably hear me say this more than once. Do not like painting on an easel. I do that when I'm out in my classes. I'm just going to grab, part of the issue is I'm painting on my Bob Ross easel, and it has these little things down here that the canvas, I guess, is supposed to sit in and make it a little bit unstable, but that's all right. I'd be picking this thing up and putting it in my lap and painting. And one of these days we might figure out how to paint like that just for my tabletop. I have to stop and check the video every once in a while. Actually, I'm going to check this to make sure it's recording. I hate to do all of this and it not be recording. Okay, it is. All right. Sorry about that. I'm a one-man show here. All right. Oops. Guess what I didn't do. Now this is what happens when you don't dip that water off of your paintbrush. It gets a little watery looking. These are looking good so far. All right, we got this guy here. We'll go ahead and paint the majority of him. We're going to leave a little bit of that because that's going to be dark in there. And the last one, let's paint the stems here. Make sure you can't see your lines. My paint's kind of drying out here. I'm in Arizona, so it dries out very, very quickly. Okay, all of those are painted. Now I'm going to go into the darker green, and we are going to paint some stems. I'm going to come right along here, this little guy. Okay. We are going to just lightly, right in the center there, going to wipe my brush out. And then the reason I wipe my brush out because I have plenty of paint on there, and then I'm able to blend this in. And I want to get close to that flower, although I know my flower will grow just a little bit. And maybe just a little bit of right on the edge of that one. This stem actually comes up and over this way, so I'm just going to darken that and pull it up. Again, not a lot of paint. I'm going to switch to that number 2. I'm going to go into I'm going to switch to a 0 actually. That number 2 looked abused. When you're doing small work like this, you want a really good paintbrush. Notice how I do kind of flatten that out a little bit. And then I'm going to come right along here, very, very gently. Pick that up and put those veins in here. Not a lot of pressure, and you want to stay right on the tip. I don't think I did a very good job with that. So we're going to thin that down. We're just going to dip into my water just a tiny bit and thin this paint down. Again, just thinning it down. All right, so this one actually comes this way. So I'm going to start here and up. Veins aren't quite in the center. They're just going to be off-centered a little bit. That one I didn't see. And you don't even have to put these little veins in. It's all up to you, but it just adds a little bit more detail to them. Going back to my water, adding it to the paint just to kind of thin this down. I'm going to come right in here. This is the one. It'll be a little bit darker in there. Again, I'm barely even touching those. Yeah, just adding some color right there. All right. All right, I'm going to just step back. I see I missed one. Can you see which one I missed? Oh, actually, I missed two. All right, I missed this one here. And this one here. All right, I'm not going to put too many in there. All right, now I am going to number 6, which is my smaller one. I'm going to go into my sour apple. As I said, I want to just pop this a little bit more in here. So I'm going to come right there. I am going to just put a little right along this edge. And I've got quite a bit of paint on there, so I'm going to wipe it off. And I still have a lot of paint on there. And just blend that in. And it's just getting dry. I'm going to highlight this one. Again, all I'm doing is just brushing. The paint on. A little bit. Here I put it on this side, but I think actually I'm going to go this side with it. Again, it is a little bit thinned down because I don't want a lot. We'll just have a little highlight right there. This one already looks highlighted. Probably should have highlighted that side. Now I'll be able to look at it. You know, I know a lot of people, oh, where's your light source? Where's your light source? I don't know. My light source should probably be coming here. This side would be lighter and would have hit there, but it's okay. It's behind the. I may highlight some other areas. Matter of fact, I am going to highlight another area here. I'm going to just, this little guy, I forgot to put any veins on him, and I just, the very top of this guy. All right. Now, what I like to do sometimes is I like just to take a step back and look at my painting and see. Sometimes I compare the two, see if there's anything I'm missing. And I think it's looking pretty good. We can always come back and add some more. So we are now going to work on our buds, get those done. Oops. And I would just say we're starting to look pretty darn good here. All right, I am going to use the Tuscan red. Well, I'm going to actually use the country red first. I'm going to go ahead and put both reds on my palette. So country red, that's going to be our underpainting. And then the Tuscan red. And make sure when you're using these paints, you shake them up. Okay, so there's my two reds. So, country red. Just come right in here. Now, if you want to, I took a little bit of Payne's Gray, mixed it with the red, and just kind of come in here and just do a little shadow there. You can do the same thing over here, and the same thing here. All right, I'm gonna wipe off my brush because I don't. I'm gonna go back in to my country red. I'm gonna do this one up here. And over here. Kind of reminds me of ears of corn, that one does. Again, just a tiny bit of, and see how it just darkens the color there? Can you see that? And this one's just going to come right here. And just very, very lightly. All right. Now we got to pop a color in there. Going to switch to my bigger brush and same country red. And now I'm going to start to kind of come in here and lay some color in. And what you see under here is that dark. And my flower just grew right there. All right. I gotta just get a little bit closer to this myself. I try to follow that outline. And that's what I'm doing here. Now, in here, I can see I missed a little dark. So what I'll do, same thing I did before, I'll go in, country red, and a little bit of Payne's Gray, and we're just going to darken that just a little bit. And we're going to just lay some of that dark color right in there. Wipe out my brush. Just trying to get right in there. Just blend all that in. Okay, that's looking good. Country red. And we're going to come right along in here. Now, the question is, could I have just underpainted the whole flower and then come back and put in my highlights and darks? Absolutely, and that's pretty much how I did the original. I painted it, I kind of knew where I wanted my highlights, so I did this, painted it all in, but I don't want you to so much do that unless you know where you're going to go. Hope that makes sense. So now I'm going to come right along here, add some paint right in here, add some paint right on top of these darks. But notice I just kind of follow those lines that were in the pattern. And, you know, when when I'm taking my original and making a pattern out of it, you know, I could have missed something. It's not anything that we can't fix, though. All right. Here, this is just going to be the country red. That's the only color I'm using other. And we'll just come right up along here. We're going to leave that because that's going to be some of our I'm going to pick up, not cleaning my brush, but I'm going to pick up Tuscan Red, go right into that center, right in here, and start to build out a little bit. And wherever there's a little bit of color, I'm going to pop that Tuscan Red on top of it. How are you guys doing so far? All right, we'll just right along here. I want to leave a little bit of white there, just so we know we're going to pop that. There's going to be another pop there. Now, again, this is just the underpainting, but he's looking pretty darn good. All right, so let's now, with our red, we're going to begin to build a little bit. Build and blend. Just adding a little bit of white to my plate. Not cleaning my brush. I am going to pick up a little bit of white and just lighten. I'm in that Tuscan Red. Just begin to lighten that up a little bit. And now I'm going to come in and just lay my pink right on top of here. Now, I probably should do that with a little bit smaller brush, that top. All right, I'm just grabbing, I just downsized my brush. And we're just going to come right along here and just make that circle. I have one right there. We're going to build this one in here. This one in here. And I'm just using the 0 here. And I will switch to a bigger brush when we get to a bigger area, but now when this dries, I will pop white on some of this. Wow. Okay, so I think what I did here on the original, I'm actually going to add color here. Again, this is just my underpaint. That I'm laying up there. Tuscan red and white. And then again, this is just all kind of that underpainting. We'll go back and touch up some things and then make it all come together. We may have to do some more highlighting. One of my favorite paintings we did was that cactus bloom. This is a lot like that. What's so interesting is if you don't like what you've done, very, very easy to change it. And I said I was going to get a bigger brush, but actually I'm just sticking with this. Each time I move my... Now, I'll tell you what I don't like. This is too straight. So what we're going to do, I'm going in with just Tuscan Red. I'm not cleaning my brush, and I'm just on my zero here, and I'm just going to clean this up a little bit. So this is how you just change things. So this is too big in here, and I'm just going to come in and thin some of this down a little bit. And I just upped my brush just a little bit. So what I'm doing is thin here, gonna swing out there, back in and thin that down a little bit. Then I'm just going to fill in a couple little gaps here. Just going to go right on top of this, over here, using the Tuscan Red. Just going to fill some of this stuff in. Again, same thing here. I got a little carried away, so I'm going to go back, pick up that Tuscan Red and white. And now I'm just going to come right along here and just expand upon this just a little bit. I'm going to bring this lip down like that. Wipe out my brush. I'm going to go into that little country red, and I'm going to lay country red right in here. Alright. So what I'm doing now is just kind of refining some of these little areas. Like this one, I'm going to make this just a little bit bigger in there, I think. If I don't like it, guess what? I can always come it down. And because I made that a little bit bigger, I want to pick up some Tuscan Red or whatever, and right underneath this lip, I'm going to add my Payne's Gray and just darken this a little bit. So when I darken that just a tiny bit, it kind of lifts it and makes it pop. And we're going to do that. Again, don't get carried away with your Payne's Gray. It's way too much, but I'm going to pick up this red. I'm going to bring it in. Pick up some more because I got way too much. So all I'm doing is just darkening that red. Yep. All right, and I'm just going to come right along at the edges of each one of these little areas. Right up in here. I'm going to go back into that center. I'm going to go right in here as well. Right down in here. I can come right underneath here a little bit. It's pretty dark to begin with. All right. Now I want to clean my brush out. I'm going to do some straight white. Right now, remember I made this lip just a little bit bigger in here. Wipe out my brush. I'm just going to come right along and just kind of pull this down just a little bit. Do I like that? And I'm just coming and adding some white along the tops here. Not a lot. Don't get crazy. But have fun with it. Sure to breathe. I find myself holding my breath sometimes. Here, we're going to come down here a little bit. All right, let's just, I have these side by side. I feel like I'm kind of missing some things here because this actually is going up. So I'm going to pull this way. There we go. I'm going to just add a little bit more white in here. What's really nice is I'm able to look behind me at the camera, and sometimes you just see things in the camera that you don't see when you're right on top of it. Ooh, like that. I just kind of brought that all together. All right. Kind of happy with this. I hope you are. You can keep working on yours if you see something else, but you got the gist of it, right? Darks and then highlights, and then we can always come back with a little bit of darks in here, sink those in, and I think we're good. This has been fun. I hope you will join us again. We put out these videos every week. We put out a video. I did take July off, but we're back at it again, and I think I see. I'm going to leave it. Sometimes you just have to walk away, let it set for a day, come back, and then mess with it again. But please click our subscribe button. If you have any comments, questions, feel free to reach out to us down below. There's links to everything that you need. I appreciate you guys all. You have a wonderful day. We'll see you again on Masterpiece in Progress.